Hello and welcome everybody, and welcome to my next installment of Watering the Soul with Ali O'Shea, a segment where I read to you from spiritual books that have really resonated with me. And this week, following on from last week, we're going to be reading Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe. We're starting on chapter 4 today, which is seeding. When an object or purpose is clearly held in thought, its precipitation in tangible and visible form is merely a question of time. The vision always precedes the realization. Lillian Whiting. If visualization is creating scenes or pictures in your own movie, then seeding is like adding the soundtrack. Only instead of words, you are adding the feelings that accompany the pictures. For example, let's say you have an important presentation to make to your company. Your supervisors and bosses will all be present. If you do well, there is an excellent chance that you will be promoted as a result. The presentation is very important to your career. You decide to use the seeding technique, spending 5 to 10 minutes seeding the thought and feeling that you've just given the presentation, and it was a huge success. Everyone was impressed. The interview was all over and you did it. You pulled off a fabulous presentation. Unlike visualization, in seeding, you are primarily concerned with the feeling of whatever it is you are visualizing. Here is where your imagination comes into play. Imagine what it would be like to have delivered the perfect presentation. Would you be excited, elated, overjoyed, relieved, thrilled? Whatever your personal reaction, feel it in your guts and make those physical feelings a part of you. Live in the certainty that you already have the thing that you want. Don't wish, wonder, worry, or hope that all is well. Claim it in your mind as an already existing fact. Replace "it's going to go well" with "it has gone well." It's all over and you did it, so enjoy the feeling of excitement, the sense of accomplishment, and the thrill of pulling it off. Congratulate yourself. Shout for joy. Leap up and down if you like. Exult and vibrate again and again with the feeling of already having accomplished your goal. Again, in seeding, you are not primarily interested in the mental pictures of how you'll achieve your goal, though these pictures will quite naturally flow into your mind. Rather, it is the physical sensation of accomplishment that you're after. The flushed cheeks, the pounding heart, the sweaty palms. In the Bible, Jesus' disciples ask him to teach them how to pray. You may or may not believe in the teachings of the Bible. It does, however, contain some very powerful insights into the mind power techniques. Jesus replies, "Whatever things ye pray for and ask for, believing that ye have received, ye shall receive them." Notice he says that you must believe you have received them. Therefore, you will receive them. This is more than hoping or wishing. This is claiming what you want in the inner world, the world of thought and creative energy, and is a very powerful process, as any person adept in applying mind power will attest. Let me share with you a story that happened to two very good friends of mine, Bill and Janet Henderson. The Hendersons were moving to a major city from a rural area, and they wanted to buy a house roomy enough to accommodate their growing family. Of course, houses are much more expensive in the city, and they were needing a large family house. They also had very specific needs. Not only did they want a large house, they wanted a large yard with lots of trees and at a price within their budget. Everyone told them they would never find anything like that for the price they wanted to pay, but they knew better. Bill had already practiced mind power techniques, both in his job and in his relationship with his family, and knew that they worked well. So he enlisted Janet, and together they worked as a team, visualizing and seeding for the house. 2 months later, they called me and asked me to come and see their new home. We walked around their spacious yard, as tranquil with its trees, shrubs and flowers, as if they had taken a piece of the country and brought it with them. Once inside, they gave me a full tour. It was a spacious house with enough bedrooms to give all the children their own rooms, and there was a den and a recreation room, all for the price they had wanted to pay. "That's fabulous," I said. "Aren't you surprised you found it?" Bill's answer showed an enlightened understanding of the powers of the mind that I've never forgotten it. "No," he said, "we're not surprised at all." In our minds, we had already taken possession of the house 2 months ago. He said it with such confidence. After all, this was the manifestation of something he had been claiming as his for 2 months. Bill and Janet had claimed the house in their inner world. They had taken possession of it already. Those are strong words, strong vibrations, powerful faith. They weren't hoping or wishing or wondering when and where they would find their dream house. They just worked regularly with the feeling that a house which would meet their needs would be theirs. They took possession of it in their minds. Not this specific house, for until it came their way, they had no idea it even existed. But they did know that they wanted what they wanted and needed. And this is what they seeded every day until it became their reality. Today, the Hendersons not only use seeding and other mind power techniques in their own lives, they are teaching their children the same principles so they too can have a rich and rewarding lives. What greater gift could a parent give to their children than an understanding of their own natural powers? We all have this power. Our thoughts create our reality, and seeding is merely working with the thought that you already have the thing you want. Once again, it is repetition and consistency that separates seeding from idle daydreaming. In seeding, you don't live an illusion. You don't walk around every day with your head in the clouds, literally believing you possess something you don't. Seeding is a mind power exercise that takes 5 minutes a day. A 5-minute burst of energy that you create for yourself regularly, each and every day without fail. The importance of repetition cannot be emphasized. As with all mind power techniques, practicing sporadically here and there will have little effect. Regularly seed the feeling that you already have whatever it is you want. It's yours. Live it. Vibrate with it. Exalt and thrill with it. Claim it absolutely as yours. Take possession of it in the inner world. And here are 2 conditions for successful seeding. Number 1, always seed with the feeling that the thing you want, that you have already achieved it. Number 2, seed regularly each and every day for at least 5 minutes. It is infinitely better to practice a few minutes every day than to do it for an hour once a week. Next, we move on to Chapter 5, Affirmations. The possibilities of thought training are infinite, its consequences eternal, and yet few take the pains to direct their thinking into channels that will do them good, but instead leave all to chance. Bryce. Affirmations are probably the easiest and simplest technique I know of to influence and affect the conscious mind. They have been used for centuries throughout the world in such spiritual and magical practices as prayers and mantras. Now they are being used by people from all walks of life to close business deals, heal ailments, meet people, win tournaments, and in countless other applications. Affirmations are simple statements repeated to yourself, silently or out loud. Whatever feels most comfortable and practical to you at the time. You can do them anywhere, in your car, while you're driving, sitting in a doctor's office, waiting for an appointment, lying in bed before you go to sleep. You decide upon a statement that represents what you want to have happen to you, and you repeat it to yourself over and over again. For example, let's say you're in a situation that usually upsets you and makes you tense when you'd prefer to be relaxed and calm. This is the perfect time to use an affirmation. Quietly repeat to yourself, I feel calm and relaxed. I feel calm and relaxed. I feel calm and relaxed. Don't try forcing yourself to feel calm and relaxed. Just keep repeating the statement to yourself for a couple of minutes. Likewise, if you have a big meeting coming up and you want it to go well, begin affirming to yourself beforehand. It's going to be a great meeting. It's going to be a great meeting. What are you doing when you do affirmations? When you were doing affirmations, you were influencing the thoughts that occur in your mind. Your mind can hold only one thought at a time. So an affirmation works by filling your mind with thoughts that support your goal. The words suggest to the mind what it should be thinking. If you're affirming to yourself, it's going to be a great meeting, your mind will quite naturally begin thinking related thoughts about it being a great meeting. Your mind effortlessly picks up the implications and message of your affirmation. It sounds very simple, but this technique can be remarkably effective in helping you gain the results that you want. Make whatever you want to see happen into an appropriate affirmation and use it regularly. One successful salesman I know begins each day with the affirmation, lots of sales, lots of smiles, and he repeats this to himself for several minutes in the morning and several times throughout the day. Things to remember when you are doing affirmations. Number 1, you don't necessarily have to believe them. In fact, anyone who's ever been unsuccessful in using affirmations has probably been trying to force themselves to do just that. This mistake can actually nullify the effects of the affirmation. Don't worry about believing, just keep repeating. If you do believe what you are affirming, great. If you don't, that's fine too. It doesn't matter. The conscious mind will quite naturally pick up the content of whatever you are affirming, and the correct thoughts will seep into your consciousness. You don't have to force anything. Number 2, always affirm in the positive. Make a positive statement, not a negative one. For example, if you want to see a meeting going well, you wouldn't say, I'm not going to blow this meeting. If you want to be calm and relaxed, you would not affirm, I'm not going to be uptight. For some reason, the mind does not pick up the not, and you find yourself programming blow the meeting or uptight. The mind will focus on these self-destructive images, on not what you want. Number 3, keep your affirmation short. An affirmation should be short, like a mantra, and simple, easy to say and easy to repeat. I like to keep my affirmations to 10 words or less. Sometimes even 2 words can be very effective. Tremendous success or record sales. I have had people show me affirmations that were half a page long, There's no way you can say an affirmation that long repeatedly. Even 2 sentences is too long. Repetition is what will imprint your affirmation into your consciousness, so the shorter, the better. I repeat, make it short, make it rhythmic, make it easy to say. Be careful that you don't use affirmations against yourself without realizing it. For example, I'll never get it done. I'll never do it. It's impossible. I'm blowing it. I'm a disaster at relationships. I know I'm going to make a mistake. Or I'm always losing. They are all affirmations that you can find yourself repeating to yourself without even realizing it. Watch out for them. Let me share an experience that happened to me on a recent lecture tour. Halfway through the tour, I looked at my schedule for the following months and couldn't believe my eyes. I was being routed from one city to another with hardly any breaks, and was even expected to be in 2 different cities on the same day. I began thinking that the upcoming month would be an impossible, stress-filled pressure cooker, and that's what I actually started telling myself. This is going to be a pressure cooker. For 2 or 3 days, I felt increasingly tense and uptight in anticipation of the dreadful next leg of the tour. I cursed the person who had set this ridiculous schedule for me. Then I caught myself. I had to laugh. Here I was, teaching mind power, and I'd unwittingly fallen into a trap of my own making. Nice affirmation. I'm a pressure cooker. So I made myself a new affirmation focusing on just 3 words. Organized, relaxed, and fun. And I repeated this to myself for several minutes. The next morning I began the day with the same affirmation, and I repeated it whenever I started thinking about my hectic schedule. Within a few days I began thinking that as long as I was organized and relaxed, the marathon pace might be fun. What was I getting all upset about? In the end, those 3 words made all the difference. My schedule didn't change, but my attitude towards it did. The tour that I had almost made into a pressure cooker for myself turned out to be a breeze. I was organized, relaxed, and had fun rushing about to meet the challenge, once I changed from a negative to a positive affirmation. You too can create affirmations and use them throughout your day to help you to accomplish the things that you want. They are easy to say and can be done anywhere. In the bank lineup, in the waiting room, or when stuck in traffic. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to do them with the literal belief that you have it. All you have to do is repeat them. I'd suggest starting first thing in the morning, because that crucial first half hour sets the tone for the rest of your day. As little as 2 or 3 minutes of practice will soon produce a noticeable effect. Every day, in every way, it's getting better and better. The name Emily Coué may not be commonly known today, but at the turn of the century, this pioneer in affirmation techniques was curing illnesses and teaching his discoveries in clinics all over Europe and North America. He caused quite a sensation in his day, and his work is still talked about today, decades after his death. Coué found out that his patients recovered much better and more quickly if they repeated a simple affirmation every morning upon rising and every evening before going to sleep. The affirmation, he thought, was, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening. That's all. The effect was so dramatic that he wrote several books on the subject of self-suggestion and taught people around the world the curative properties of the mind when directed towards recovery. Coué's affirmation focused the patient's mind on every day in every way getting better and better. Emily Kehoe is credited with the documented cures of thousands of people. Closer to our own time, singer-songwriter John Lennon will always be remembered for his music, his humanitarian beliefs, and his wonderful openness. Lennon made no secret of his interest in magic and the powers of the mind, and his songs reflect this interest. Listen to his lyrics for the song Mind Games. We're playing our mind games, creating the future out of the now. Lennon knew and used both visualization and affirmations. My mind is what makes it all happen, is what he liked to say. And in Beautiful Boy, which he wrote for his son Sean, he actually sings, "Before you go to sleep, say this little prayer. Every day, in every way, it's getting better and better." He, like Kehoe and so many other great men and women before him, found his way to this eternal truth. John Lennon's songs beckoned us to believe in ourselves and to believe in our power and our ability. "Who do you think you are?" he sang. "A superstar." Well, right, you are. And now we are going to move on to the 6th chapter, and it's called Acknowledging. Nothing succeeds like success. Most of us are quicker to see our own failures and shortcomings than we are to acknowledge our achievements and successes. When we accomplish something we feel good about for a few days or weeks, but then we move on to new goals and new desires. All too quickly, we leave behind the good feelings of accomplishment. We forget that we have even achieved those things. Our new desires and wants become our focus, and we let go of the success vibration that was created from our past achievements. This is a complete waste of powerful success energy. If we focus only on the not yet attained, we unconsciously feed the mind the idea that we are lacking. We reuse success energies from past achievements again and again with very positive results. But unfortunately, we rarely do so. One night, after one of my lectures, a woman approached me and asked, "John, do you think I could ever achieve my goals?" I asked her to describe them. Her first goal was to live in a beautiful house. Her second goal was to fly back to England to see parents and relatives she hadn't seen in 14 years. And her third goal was to have a meaningful relationship with someone special. As she was a single mother with 3 children and lived on very slender means, these goals seemed impossible to her at the time. From my seminars, however, she hoped to learn powerful new ways to create a better reality. I assured her that by using mind powers, she could indeed achieve her goals, and didn't really think of the woman again until about a year later when I received a phone call from her. "John," she said excitedly, "you'll never guess what happened. I now live in a house with a swimming pool and a fabulous yard and view." I told her I was very happy for her, but she was not yet finished. Not only that, but I was in England for 3 weeks and saw my family. And you could tell she was leaving the best for last. I'm in the most fabulous relationship. I'm in love, really in love. Needless to say, I looked forward to seeing her again. Months passed before I did, but she met me at the airport, and the first thing I noticed about her was that she didn't appear to be the bright, exuberant woman I was expecting to see. When she said to me rather despondently, "John, why doesn't mind power work for me?" I could only look at her incredulously. "Why doesn't mind power work for me?" she repeated. I couldn't believe I was hearing this. Listen, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you the woman who, 1 year ago, wanted to live in a nice house, travel to England, and have a meaningful relationship? Wasn't that you? She looked at me in embarrassment. Oh, she said, I forgot about that. Forgot about that? How could anyone forget about it? Well, it's easy. We do it all the time. She had achieved her previous goals and now was working on new and different ones. Because she hadn't yet realized her new goals, she was sincerely wondering why mind power wasn't working for her. She had totally forgotten and taken for granted her most recent achievements. Her mind had moved on to new things. We focus on what we want to achieve, forgetting to acknowledge what we have achieved. Why concern yourself with what you're not? We all have areas where we have failed, where we feel we don't measure up. Learn to pat yourself on the back for your present or past victories, no matter how small. Look for anything that makes you feel strong, victorious, successful, and good about yourself. Acknowledge anything and everything, small and large, and use it to create a vibration of success and achievement in the now, which will aid you in attracting further success. Acknowledgement is especially effective when you are trying to achieve new goals. For example, let's say you're a young filmmaker trying to break it into the big time by getting a major production company to back you. Using the acknowledging technique, you could look for areas that you feel confident in your capabilities as a filmmaker. You might focus your thoughts on some of the short films you've made in the past and that you're proud of. You might recall certain scenes that critics said either worked well or showed real promise. Focus on these scenes and remind yourself that you also have a good eye for detail. Acknowledge the hard work you've been putting in to learn your craft. Recall all the compliments and praise people have given you about your work, and recognize all the skills you've developed over the last few years and the progress you've made. Search, and I emphasize the word search, for things to acknowledge. Don't just acknowledge the obvious, acknowledge everything. Don't feel silly or think it doesn't matter. Your positive qualities are just as real as the negative ones. Go ahead and feel proud. Feel great. Feel successful. Let your mind linger for several minutes on the success you already are. This technique can be applied to any goal. Not just to specific areas, but in a general way as well. Take 10 minutes out right now and write down every strong point you can come up with in any area of your life, past or present. Examples: I dress well. I'm good at my job. I'm very creative. I know a lot about fill in the blank. I'm a good conversationalist. I'm generous. I'm a good painter. I have a positive attitude. I'm a safe driver. I'm fun to be with. Don't stop now. Your positive qualities are endless. People like me. I work hard. I enjoy life. I'm a loving partner. I'm a conscientious parent. I support my family and friends. I've just completed making my acknowledgement list. Make a general list and make it long. List at least 20 items. Don't be timid and reserved about it. Put it all down in black and white so that you can see it in a concrete way. How many reasons you have to feel good about yourself. That's the purpose of this exercise, to make sure you realize you have lots of reasons to be proud of yourself. These good feelings create the success vibration that will form the foundation of your future success. You can employ a similar approach when you are attempting to achieve any goal. Make a list of at least 10 things about yourself which you can acknowledge that will support you in your attempt to achieve that goal. In trying to get a job as a sales manager, for example, you could make a list acknowledging the qualities that would make you a success at the job, and thus the best candidate for the position. Your list might look something like this. I'm great with people. I'm a good communicator. People like me. I work well with people. I'm a born salesman. I've done well in my previous jobs. I can motivate people. I'm talented. I look and dress well. I'm organized. I work hard. I achieve my goals. If you hadn't made your list, you might have gone into the interview just hoping they'd give you the job. This way, you go in certain that you are qualified for the job. Nothing succeeds like success, and you have already succeeded in numerous areas. The more you vibrate this energy, the more success you attract from the environment. So make your lists, feed your mind, work with energy, get involved in your life. Never stop acknowledging yourself. Never stop believing in yourself. Don't wait for things to happen. Begin creating, as John Lennon said, the future out of the now. Acknowledge, acknowledge, acknowledge. Consciousness creates reality, and you create consciousness. So there we have it, guys. Chapters 3 to 6 of Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe. I do so hope that you enjoyed today's installment. I'm going to leave it there for today. I thank each and every one of you so much for joining me and for sharing this video out. And I hope to see you next week for the next installment of Watering the Soul here with Ali O'Shea, when I will read the next few chapters of Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe. Much love, everybody. Namaste for now. Bye-bye.